think that one of the biggest benefits that students can have in regards to taking our course, our TOEFL iBT online course, is being able to discover how to think like the TOEFL iBT exam creators. When you truly are trying to figure out how to answer questions or how to best proceed with the process of answering questions, it's very helpful to understand how do they make a reading passage question and answer. What is the process like? And so that's what we're trying to explain to you in this PowerPoint presentation, is what is the process? How does the process work? How do you think like the exam creator? Because if you can discover how they make the questions and get the answers, then that better helps you in terms of doing this, in terms of doing well in the exam. As you know, we have the one of the best TOEFL iBT online preparation courses. If you go to the website www.udemy, that's udemy.com, and put in TOEFL, you'll see all of our courses there available that we teach and that we have to offer. So when we're talking about reading comprehension questions, like I said, if somebody's a true expert in teaching or explaining how to do a TOEFL iBT, one of the first things that you want them to do is be able to explain to you how they make questions, how they design questions, because then you know that person has really put a lot of thought process into their methodology for your answering questions. There's no way someone can tell you how to answer questions for the TOEFL iBT and they haven't actually discovered the ETS process. So that's what I'm going to go over here with you. The reason why this is so helpful, like I give an example here, if I come up to you and I tell you exactly, I say, hey, this is how I'm going to make the questions for the test you're taking next week, and this is how I'm getting the answer to the test questions. You'll feel really good because you'll know, hey, I know where he's getting the questions from, and I know how he's getting the answers. You're going to do excellent on that kind of test. And so that's what I'm trying to explain to you is in that regard in terms of how this happens. You want to be a copycat. And what I mean by that is once you get this explanation I'm about to explain to you in terms of how ETS makes reading comprehension questions and gets answers, copy the process. Do the exact same thing they do to get the questions and answers. You're going to make it easy, okay? Because remember, as I'm going to be teaching you, reading comprehension is not about the subject matter. They have very strange subject matters, right? Very out of the way subject matters. Something about Chinese pottery, or about lions in Europe, ancient lions in Europe, or archaeology, and just strange topics. But the subject matter doesn't matter if you really understand simply how they make questions and how they get answers. Well, first of all, it's helpful to understand who makes the questions. ETS hires several different English professionals, and these people are hired to make reading passages and to create the questions and answers based on those reading passages. Sometimes they're supplied with the reading passages themselves, and they just have to make questions and answers. Sometimes they can create the reading passage and the questions and answers also. So it can be a mixture of both of those things. Here's the secret formula that happens. All right, a reading passage test maker creates a reading passage, and then afterwards they commence to their question design. All right, basically what they do is they look in the paragraph, and they look in the paragraph, maybe paragraph 2, and they pick one sentence from that paragraph to design their question. One sentence to design a question. Okay, for the basic questions. When you're talking about your detail, purpose, inference, attitude questions, all those questions, vocabulary questions, reference questions, all those questions are based on one sentence. Okay, they're based on one particular sentence, and so you have to be able. Also, even with a negative factual question, the question usually leads off from one sentence from the keywords in the question. But at any rate, that's very important to understand. They're not looking at a whole paragraph to make a question. They're looking at one sentence in a paragraph to make a question. That's why we advise students about not reading entire paragraphs. Only read and find your keyword sentence, because you're doing the same thing that the people are doing for the test creation. So that process is very, very important to understand. After they have their one sentence, then they're going to create a question based on this one sentence using similar language. All right. Most likely they're going to use synonym language to create the actual question itself. Sometimes they'll use the same language that's in the actual passage itself. Sometimes they'll use synonym language. It depends, but it's both. But that's how that sentence is where they're going to design the question from. Okay. And after that, they proceed to select an answer. The answer is either going to come directly from the keyword sentence, or it's going to come from the next sentence. If the next sentence starts off with that kind of magical language, this means, that means, those, such as, a result, so forth and so on. When you see that language after the keyword sentence, that's where the answer actually is. Because so this is the way this is where they make answers. This is where they get answers from. For the TOEFL questions, it's going to come from that keyword sentence that they make the question from, or the next sentence, depending on if that next sentence has connecting language. All right. The passage creator would do their best to use synonym language when writing the answer choice. All right, and then when they pick bad answer choices, they pick them from the surrounding sentences. The two sentences may be above the keyword sentence, and maybe the sentence below the keyword sentence, or sometimes they'll pick an answer that's from a different paragraph. But at any rate, this explains understanding this process understanding their process of how they make questions and develop answers is going to help you in terms of understanding our tricks and tips that we teach you for answering reading comprehension questions correctly. Our methodology is designed. Our methodology that we teach you is designed right around the same process that ETS uses to create the actual questions. So you have a lot of coherence between our methodology and their question answer process. When the test creator is going to make up bad answers, they use a lot of exact language because they know exact language is something that attracts students, and they have to make the trap questions look very good. They look like that big piece of cake that you can't have. All right. For the negative factual questions, the same basic principle. They select a sentence that leads into the actual categories themselves, but then they're going to either look at different sentences within a paragraph and select one of the answer choices for a negative factual question. So sometimes the negative factual question is the one question where it's built off of different sentences within a paragraph. Some of the other questions, the paraphrase question, that's also a one sentence question. It usually was going to have a comma or a semicolon present within it, so it's a little bit longer of a sentence, but it's essentially still one sentence, in terms of what that question is based off of. Vocabulary questions are one sentence questions, and the summary questions, the way they're designed is a little bit different. When somebody's designing a summary question, what they do is they look at different paragraphs. They're going to pick 3 paragraphs from the passage, and then they're going to write a summary sentence for the paragraph. And then to pick the bad answer choices, they're going to pick specific details from different paragraphs, or specific facts from different paragraphs, or they're going to misstate specific information from a paragraph and make those the wrong answers. And so you really just have to, when you're doing this question right here, in order to get it right, you simply have to just really match up topic sentences, because that's essentially how they make the correct answers for the summary question. They'll look at like maybe the topic sentence and the last sentence and design some kind of summary question that uses synonym language or paraphrases almost what's in the topic sentence. And so that's how they make the correct answers for the summary questions themselves. All right, so now you have a good idea of how reading comprehension questions are designed and how the answers are designed also. And you're going to be able to use this knowledge to help you in terms of answering questions properly. There is a specific method and a specific strategy that we teach you that has a high rate of success for students. All of our students, when they really learn our process and they have enough English to really use, to really apply it, they have extremely high success rates with our process because we know this secret knowledge from ETS, and we know, and this secret knowledge of how you make questions goes directly into our this goes directly into our process of teaching you how to answer for reading comprehension. So I'm glad we were able to explain this to you. Good luck in this reading comprehension section of the course, and follow our lesson, follow our plan, and you're going to do a great job.